Hello everybody, welcome to Knowledge India. Please let me know if you are able to hear me. So we have Chitranjali, we have Avinash, Lucky and Pankaj. Hello everybody. Is it audible clearly? Please let me know. All right, thank you. So we'll just give 2 minutes more and we'll get started. It is 9:33 to be precise. We'll just give 2 minutes and we'll get started at 9:35. In the meanwhile, people who are there online, those who have joined, uh, so I see 5, 6 people here. Others, if you have joined, can you say a hi so that I know you are there? Hello, Harish. All right, it is 9:35. I'll get started now. So, as you people might have seen the agenda, today I am going to talk about solution architect certification. We'll also touch base upon few other things, but I wanted to talk about the certification today. In addition to that, of course, I would go ahead and take any questions which you people would have. So probably we'll get started with taking questions. So it is, for the next. Okay, hi Bala, hi Rangesh. So for the first 25 minutes I'll try to take questions from you which you people might have and I'll answer that, and in the next after that we'll try to talk about certification, and I'll also try to explain that what is the plan for the classroom and online training which I'm designing. So I'll try to explain that as well. So first, it's open. You can ask your questions, guys. Anybody who was joining the live session for the first time? We've got Sudhir as well. Okay. So, guys, whatever you people have studied till now in AWS, do you have anything which is not clear or which you have not been able to understand? Any doubts? You may go ahead and ask that. If I'm not getting any questions, I would assume that you people are good. In that case, I'll start with the with the things related to certification. So I'll wait for a few minutes to hear any questions from you. How to test a three-tier stack made in AWS? Okay, Lucky, can you please elaborate what do you mean by testing? In the time while you elaborate, if you mean that whether it is connecting, whether every tier is connecting to the other one or not, you can very well set up a three-tier architecture. For example, a layer of web server, another layer of app server, and then third layer of database server, right? And from every layer, you can go ahead and do a telnet. For the other, for the basically for the next layer, you can do a telnet against the port where it accepts the connection. For example, if you have your database server as MySQL, which is running on 3306, from app server, you can go ahead and do a telnet and try to check the database server on 3306. If it goes through, then it is working. So if you meant anything else, can you please elaborate? Okay, so Sudhir has asked about Lambda. Uh, Quickly, I mean, I'll talk about it few minutes. So Lambda is a service which is part of the serverless boutique actually from AWS. Okay, so now the way it works is, in case of uh, in case of any application which you are putting, normally it is your responsibility, customer's responsibility, to go ahead and manage the EC2 server, right? EC2 machine. So you need to, your machine should be properly loaded. If it is overloaded, it's your responsibility to architect it in such a manner that it expands and things like that. If a machine is going down, it's your responsibility to that you should have taken measures that another machine should come up and things like that. Now, also, if you think of a scenario where you have a small program which runs sometimes, and for that, if you are dedicating a complete big machine, then it causes you a lot of money loss actually. Now Lambda comes there. Lambda is a service which allows to run your function uh, environment. When we say managed, you do not have to go ahead and you do not have to worry about the server or the storage, where your function is running. All you need to do is you need to write your function. It currently supports 4 languages. It is C#, Java, Python, and Node.js. So you can go ahead and write your function, and you can specify based on the fact that how complex your program logic is, you can specify that how much resource should be allocated to every invocation of your function, right? And when I say resource, both the things, the CPU and the CPU and the memory basically. So you can go ahead and specify that every function invocation should have this much CPU and memory, and that's it. After that, you go ahead and save it, and then based on the need, whenever you can basically invoke the Lambda function from different events within AWS. Also, you can go ahead and schedule an AWS Lambda function, and it runs based on the schedule which you have done. And the best part there is, only for the amount of time your Lambda function runs, you pay only for that. You do not pay for any time when it is idle. So for example, a function got invoked, it ran for, let's say, 10 seconds, so you pay only for 10 seconds. It's like that, and the pricing is quite competitive. So that's your Lambda. And as I said, it can be invoked from different events. What are the events? For example, if there is an S3 bucket, you put a file in your S3 bucket, so there's an event, a new object got created. As part of that part of that event, you can go ahead and invoke a Lambda function. So all you have to do is go ahead and in S3 you link this thing, that whenever this type of event is happening, invoke this particular function. That's it. And every time that event happens, the required or the the Lambda function which you have specified, that comes up automatically. So that way you can automate a lot of things. Many times people also ask that I want to start up few servers every day at this time, then I want to shut it down every day at this time. You can also go ahead and use Lambda there as well. Just write a Lambda function to start things, schedule it to run every morning, say 9 a.m. Write another function to stop things, stop all the machines. I schedule it to run at 6 p.m. in the evening. That's it. It just comes up, code gets executed, and then it's gone for within few seconds. So that's Lambda. Okay, next is Lucky saying from web URL and to DB. I think I understand that you got it right. If you did not get that question, please ask again. Vinash is saying, I want to know about storage gateway and its types. Okay, I'll talk about it in bit briefly. Storage gateway, it is a solution which basically extends AWS storage to your data center. Now, let's say let's say a customer is currently not in a at that maturity to to migrate all its workload to AWS. So what they can do is they can set up a storage gateway in their on-premises environment, and their like storage would be defined, and whatever they write on that storage would automatically be uh, copied, I should say, to AWS. And there are different types you can configure, S3 and or EBS, on the AWS side where this data gets copied. So you can look at the pricing and this thing on the documentation. All right, Lucky is saying next, AWS China does not have Route 53. How can we do DNS resolution in such cases? Any workaround for Route 53 in areas where Route 53 is missing? Okay. First thing is, I don't think that you will have this scenario anywhere else. China has very unique type of very unique type of regulations actually. So if we are using I mean, I'll have to check, because of course I also don't have a China AWS China account access, right? Because if you need China access, you need to create a completely different account. But able to use some other DNS service in that case, right? There should be a DNS service which should be available within China, so we can try and use that. Or we'll have to probably read that the websites which are operating in China, which DNS service they use. We'll have to do something of that sort, Lucky. But I'll try to see this, that look at it. That's all I can say. Yeah, China has great rules, so we'll have to work there in the way they are saying. NK is asking that what time you started. 9:32:33 types we started. Avinash, okay. I hope you guys are able to hear me properly. Please let me know if you are able to hear. Last weekend we could not do the live session. I got stuck into something. I think that was the first time it happened that we could not do it over a long period. Anyway, so on Facebook page I had asked a question, but I did not see a lot of participation. That's okay. I don't know how many of you have liked the page. So one of the participants suggested that every day try to give a topic or a question and let people reply to it. I suggestion. I tried to do it as well, but I don't see a lot of people replying. Okay, Neeraj, I'm sorry, we just finished talking about Lambda. So you might want to look at the recording after some time. We talked for a good amount of time on Lambda. Uh, okay, so all right. So let me ask people a question quickly. What is the typical use case when you would be using network ACL? Can some When would you go ahead and use network ACL? My question is, let me reframe it. When would you try and add a deny rule into network ACL? Guys, are you getting my question? That's okay. Yes, to block a particular IP, but what is that specific use case? Okay, can you elaborate a bit to block a particular IP? Uh, Pankaj, answer to your question is you can go ahead and just select that particular EBS volume and now do a modify. Earlier, the process was to create a snapshot and then create an instance, create an EBS volume again. But now you can just select and modify it. There's a video on this. You can go ahead and look at the channel. EBS explaining the same thing. Um, Guys, what you people are answering is it is quite abstract, I would say. Um, So when we want to avoid someone access our environment, okay, to have more control over the subnet, to have a molecular control over the instances in the subnet, meaning to say, if I need to block an individual IP, I would use a network ACL. Okay, kind of yes, but remember, you should understand that network ACLs are applied at subnet level. So you will go ahead and add deny rules typically when you want to filter out certain IP addresses, one IP address or certain IP addresses from n number of machines. When that is the case, you may go ahead and add the rule at the network ACL level itself, and hence you do not have to go ahead and add such rules on every instance security group level. For example, there is one subnet. In that subnet, you might have 5 EC2 instances running. Now you find out that there is a particular IP address, or there are few IP addresses which are trying to abuse your application. So what you can do is you can go ahead and just add deny rule for such IP addresses at the network ACL level itself, and hence you do not have to go ahead and do this for all 5 or 10 instances. Rather, you did it at the subnet level itself, and the traffic would never enter inside. Okay. All right. So let me ask you one more question. So let's say you people there's a VPC, and within that VPC you have a public subnet. In that public subnet there are 2 EC2 instances already there. These 2 EC2 instances are accessible from outside, right? And they are created from the same AMI. Now what we do is we go ahead and launch third EC2 instance, and this EC2 instance is also launched from the same AMI and in the same subnet. But this machine is is not accessible from outside. from outside world, this machine is not accessible. What could have gone wrong? Sudhir, we just talked about the network ACLs only. I hope you people got my question. So please reply. What could have gone wrong, or what could be the reason because of which this third instance, which is created from the same AMI and it is there in the same subnet, is not accessible from outside? And it is a public subnet. There is somebody, Mr. Carlos Regan, who is think I'll have to remove him. Oh, it just deletes the message. Go ahead and block him. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's right. Public IP is not assigned to the machine. That's correct. Or elastic IP. Security group could have gone wrong. Yes. If you people ask, I would say that yes, you should check that whether it has the same security group as the other two instances, or else the NK is saying AMI permission need to add IP to NAT. No, sorry. AMI permission is there. That's why you are able to launch the instance, right? We said that the third instance is also launched from the same AMI, so permission thing is there, right? And it's your AMI. Let's consider that. And instances are there in public subnet, so NAT doesn't come into picture in this case, right? These machines need to have public IP, and they would be accessible directly from outside. Access control list is not defined. Please do not get confused. ACLs will come in case of S3. In case of VPC, it is network ACLs. Don't ask those things, guys. And others, where you are, when you are replying that, like Vijay is saying, check security group and network ACL. I take the security group part. Yes, we can check that. But network ACL, you need not check, because three instances are there in the same subnet. Already for two instances, network ACL is applied at subnet level, right? And the two instances are accessible. That means there's nothing wrong at network ACL level, right? Okay. So it could be only security group, or it could be the IP address. Maybe key issue. No, we do. I am to actually log into the. I just asked to, whether the machine should be reachable. So it could be just a telnet from outside. It could be just, hitting the IP address of the machine from outside. That's it. You need not do SSH. All right. Okay, great. So, mhm. Lucky is asking how to log into private instance from laptop. Lucky, you are there on the channel from long time. Okay, so remember the Bastion host thing which I talked that to take. If you have only one instance in your private subnet, then directly from your laptop you would not be able to get inside. What you need to do is you need to launch a small Bastion host into your public subnet. So from your laptop, you need to first do an SSH or RDP to your Bastion host, and then from there you would put the private IP of your private instance, and you would be able to connect to it. Yes, Rangesh is saying any created AMI doesn't carry the security group permissions, right? That's true. AMI doesn't capture that. AMI just captures whatever was there within your disk, right? Whereas the security group attachment happens at the instance level. That's why it is possible that you can have an AMI and even copy that AMI from one region to another. You can also share the AMI between different AWS accounts. Even that is possible. Whereas security group sharing between 8 different AWS accounts cannot happen. I hope that is not confusing you guys. Try to digest it. Okay. What Sudhir has commented, I would add to that. You need to launch NAT for the outbound thing. So if your private instance needs to access internet, then only the whatever Sudhir is saying would come into picture, right? If you want to go ahead and log into the to your private instance, then the way is via Bastion host. I highly recommend that in the last live session we talked about Bastion host. You can go ahead and take a look at that, guys. Also, I recommend all of you, those who have not seen, look at the video which talks about the difference between NAT. Anybody who has doubt, get it clarified. Chitranjali is saying the public IP is not assigned to instance automatically. No, it is not assigned automatically. An instance, you at the step number 3, if you remember, you choose whether you want it to have public IP or not. Also, sometimes use the setting from the subnet level, but basically you say that, right? Yeah, the answer is right from Al D, if I'm reading it correct. I'll have to take a look, Rangesh. I think I've replied most of your questions, but I'll take a look, after the session. And if I've not replied, I'll probably post it as a on the blog, and everybody can go through it. So okay, all right. So let me now talk about the certification, and if any questions will be there, I'll try to take that as well in a while. Um, uh, so guys, some of you had mailed me, direct message that room sessions happening or online sessions where we do it in a more structured manner and things like that. So based on that, I'm organizing a classroom training in Bangalore in the month of July. That is there for the Solution Architect Associate track. It is going to be a 4-day continuous course, and in 4 days we are going to cover everything for the Solution Architect Associate. Anybody who is just getting started or who has got started on AWS, if you join this particular thing, I think it should be good. Now, those of you who are in or around Bangalore, you may go ahead and if you want, you can join this. I have details on the Facebook page. It is there on the blog. You can directly message me and fix your seat if you want. So that is about the this one, which is classroom. It is happening in Bangalore, 27th to 30th of July. And for the online one, I'm doing an online training, which is going to be on the weekends, 4 hours every weekend, so that you don't have to take any leaves and you can join from wherever you are. There are people who are there from different geographies, so you can go ahead and join from wherever you are. We are going to do like 4 days, 4 hours every day. So it is going to be like starting from 8th, actually 8th of July. So yeah, starting from 8th of July, 8th, 9th, and then 23rd of July, it is going to be there. 4 hours will do. We'll also cover a lot of demos, a lot of labs, and you will get time in between to go ahead and practice things. And then when you come back for the next week, you can even ask your questions. So we are going to keep it interactive. I have so the course fee for the classroom one is 22,999, and for the one which is online for the sysops, it is 16,999. So that's those are the course fee, guys. The complete details are here on the on our Facebook, so you can always pick it from here. So let me just paste it. In case you people have not liked it, please like the page. And I have also shared the complete agenda. So for example, for the sysops, if you see, we are going to cover everything right from starting of EBS. We'll talk about VPC complete scratch. We'll create things and then we'll make it work. We'll talk about S3 in detail, all its life cycle policy, types of storage classes, and all those things. We'll also talk about some CLI commands. We'll do a lab on that. We'll talk about IAM in detail, and then CloudWatch, tagging of resources, how different tags work, detailed billing file, and all of those stuff. High availability scalability, we'll go to ELB auto scaling. In case of sysops track, the the basically the depth up to which you should understand auto scaling and ELB matters a lot, guys. So there are a lot more things which we'll have to cover, and we are going to cover it all in this particular class. We will also go in depth in CloudFormation, though there is a tutorial on CloudFormation, but is going to be more interactive. So we'll talk about CloudFormation. We'll talk about approaches, how people use these things in order to really automate stuff. We will look at some troubleshooting scenarios, like when things are not working, in what way you should go ahead and approach it. What should be the order? Typical problems which people face and how do they solve it. And we'll also talk about the different configuration management strategies which you can use on AWS, right? Like, of course, you can use your AMI, you can use your user data, you can also use your third-party configuration management tool. So that's the whole syllabus which you can read. About the training quality. So this is going to start from 8th of July. If you're interested, please let me know. Also on this Facebook page itself, you have the details for the, if you go down, you have the details for your architecting class as well, which is going to be a 4 days class actually. So to find you people there. So let's see from traffic association board. If you mean a CloudWatch monitor, you don't enable ICM is needed only for the ping, right? If you want ping, in order to do the no have to do that. Pankaj is asking a question. If you guys need down the pass or the whole training, please go ahead and type it in the chat window. I'll try to clarify those doubts. In the meanwhile, I'll answer a few questions here. If suppose I buy a reserved instance for 3 years, but now I want to cancel it, so what are the possible ways? Okay, I'll reply it quickly, but I also recommend you that you should look at the pricing video in detail. So what happens is, once you reserve, you cannot cancel and get your money back from AWS. Though AWS gives you an option that you can go ahead and sell your reserved instance on the marketplace. So if you have any reserved instance, you can go ahead and, let's say out of 3 years you have used 1 year, right, for example. So you can go ahead and for the remaining time you can calculate the cost, of course keep it a bit lower, and then you can advertise it on the you can basically put it up for selling on the marketplace, and anybody who is looking for comparatively lesser duration, that person can buy it from you and you will get the money. One process, but you cannot cancel and get the money back from AWS. So that was answer to Pankaj. Okay, NK had replied Mangesh question. What is the course fee? I replied, well, for the session, if possible, can I request to discuss it now? Okay, let me try to see if we can. Rangesh, if can you go ahead and send those questions to me once again? Please go ahead and no, I might have to search it. I think I had replied, but okay, go ahead and send it to me once again. our quick labs site for AWS labs practice worth it? Uh, it's a whether it's worth it. I think that alone is not. Uh, some of those are, those exercises are like very cumbersome. They do not serve the targeted purpose. Many of the times it's just like, you follow a particular text which has been given, and there's nobody who's explaining you. So few of the labs are okay, but overall, if you see, I think that you end up spending a lot of money. I'm sure when you're asking this question, you would have looked at the pricing. There are some very few labs which are free, and they are very, very fundamental. I mean, it doesn't make much sense. But anything which is more than that, you end up paying a lot. So my suggestion would be, in order to do practicals, please create your free tier account and do go ahead and do the practice there. That would be my suggestion. The meanwhile, Lucky is saying that audio is not clear. Guys, can you please contribute? Can you check and let us know if you people are able to hear properly, please? What is data processing, and an example where it comes? Okay. Okay, so data processing, as the name says, let's say you have, for an example, let's take an example and understand that. So many of the times it happens that um, you receive a lot of files, right? Text files, which has, some data. Now you need to process this data and extract the useful information which you think is useful, that you need to extract from this, and you need to put it in a structured manner so that it can be used further for reporting or things like that. So that is data processing. You might be, now that data could be anything. It could be data coming from sensors, it could be data coming from some web server logs or things like that, right? So you probably bring it and keep those files in S3, and then from there there are different types of data processing. So as you are saying, you are going to choose EMR, that's your choice, of course, based on multiple things. You would have uh, like you would have chosen EMR. People do choose different frameworks as well. Now, so you will be writing your code, and that runs in EMR, which is a managed, and so that basically picks up the files from S3, goes through it, extracts the useful information based on the code which you have written, and probably puts it in somewhere. Like that somewhere could be Redshift, it could be any other database, right? So that's your data processing. Okay, Sudhir, Avinash, Lucky, thank you. Vijay, thank you. Uh, there was a problem in between, refresh worked, and so Rangesh is saying that he has sent the questions. Let me see. Okay, all right, just give me a moment. Okay, I'm gonna discuss some of the questions which Rangesh has sent. Others, if you have any questions, you may ask me now, or any doubts which you might have related to the upcoming trainings. If you want, you may ask that as well. So Rangesh is asking, when we attach a role to an EC2 instance. Let's name the instance as a Skynet with full access to S3. So basically what it means is whoever goes to access Skynet uh, will have the access into S3 too. Meanwhile, I've created a user only with EC2 full permission and no S3 access and have assigned a task to work on Skynet EC2. Will he still have access to S3? A bit, quite mixed up. So, but I say you have an EC2 instance. Its name is Skynet, and you have attached a role to it. To the role, if you have given, understand that you attach permission to a role, right? In that permission or policy, if you have allowed access to S3, then only there can be S3 from the EC2 instance. Why? Because EC2 instance has assumed the role. That's why you are able to access S3. Meaning, from this EC2 instance, you can go ahead and fire the different commands like S3 copy, S3 MV, or things like that. Anything, whichever you have allowed in the policy to do. If you have not, you have created a user. See, user is not gonna get attached to the, not going to get attached to the EC2 instance. So that's a different thing. If you have created an IAM user and it is written that I've given full EC2 permission and no S3 access and have assigned a task to work on. So understand that if this particular user which you have created, this user goes and configures his own keys, right, on the EC2 machine and then tries to issue a command, then this user's permission will come into effect. If he doesn't do that, rather he just goes ahead and sets up CLI and starts issuing the command, then automatically, that because the instance has assumed a role, policies will come into picture, right? I hope it is understandable. If you did not understand, let me know. What is a stateful and a stateless instance? Okay, I don't think there is anything like, okay, in terms of application, we talk about being stateful and stateless. So when you are creating developing any application, try and keep it stateless, which means you should not keep the session information onto your instances. Rather, you should store it outside. You should store it outside into some database. It could be DynamoDB, it could be Elasticache, it could be some other database. So what would happen in case the particular EC2 instance goes down? Your session information is not lost. Is not lost. What is pre-warming? If you're talking about pre-warming of EBS, what happens is it will go ahead and read all the blocks once, which means if there is any data which has to be loaded from EBS, from S3 to EBS, that loading would happen. Not be any performance penalty. Behind the scene, not everything we would get to know. Amazon corporate and production segregation. I do not understand that question. The throughput in the EBS is from the instance to the EBS volume, right? C1X large says 1000 Mbps. That means the EC2 instance can interact with the EBS with 1000 Mbps traffic speed. No, I think we are mixing things here. See, the throughput EBS is basically an attribute of EBS. Do not confuse it with the attribute of instance. Okay, so to take care is all you need to take care when, okay, the 1000 Mbps which you are seeing in case of C1X large, that is actually the, understand, the EBS throughput is an attribute of EBS. It would not be written in, okay. So on the type of EBS you are choosing, you can look at its throughput. How does termination happen when the auto scaling is cooling off? And let's assume the auto scaling is spanning across 3 ACs. So there are termination policies which we define, guys. I remember we talked about termination policy in the in the last video, yeah, last to last session. So I talked about different termination policies, and even I asked questions. So I request to look at that particular video and understand what is hardware machine AMI and paravirtual. So PV and HVM. So PV is the is the older generation, and HVM is the latest one. Uh, Quickly to understand, PV has a lot of restrictions, whereas HVM is new and it performs better. HVM supports only 64-bit, whereas PV used to do 32-bit and 64-bit more. Both. In a nutshell, you should try and use HVM. You'll find maximum latest AMIs only on HVM. So is it. I will go here. I think it is the same thing. So okay. Let's come here on the right hand side, asking what is the difference between instance store and EBS volume. Instance store is non-persistent. So when the EC2 instances stop, terminate, instance store would be lost, whereas EBS volume is a persistent one. So the data remains there even in the case of stop. So that's in short, and in detail I have talked about it in one of the videos related to storage. Please look at it and get clear, please. If you look at the EC2 video, I will just tell you which video in the SysOps playlist. If you look at the EC2 video, there I've talked about it in quite detail. Rakesh M is saying hi. Hi Rakesh. Okay. Is the classroom training. So Lucky, I'll be just I'm just trying to finalize it. I'll try to keep it somewhere, of course, within the city, but I will update the exact location just in a while. I'm talking to 2-3 people trying to fix the venue. I'll update it soon. Rakesh is saying AWS is giving 30 GB of EC2 instance free, but in top up of that, if we adding Elastic Block Store 2 GB or for creating S3, then they will charge. Request you to write a bit clearly. AWS 30 GB is not EC2. Okay, it's EBS, guys. Right, so it gives you 30 GB of EBS free. If you are using more than 30 GB of EBS, yes, you would be charged. Okay, and in case of S3, you need to look up to 5 GB of storage in S3 is free. If you see there, I have written about it. I have created a video where I've explained how to see and understand how much is free on everything. And trust me, you should spend 20-30 minutes once and read that particular URL, which is aws.amazon.com/free. There in very much detail, it is explained that how much is free for every service. So 5 GB of storage on S3 is free. Harish is saying little bit of confusion about IAM role. Please explain once. So IAM role is a concept. What you do is you basically create a role and you attach some policies to that role, right? So you can go ahead and give permission via that. And this role can be assumed by AWS services. For example, an EC2 can assume a role, Lambda can assume a role, right? And once this particular service assumes a role, any request which comes from that service would be honored by AWS. For example, you create a role and you give it S3 full access, right? All S3 actions you allow in that role. And then an EC2 instance assumes this particular role. Then what would happen is any API request coming from that particular EC2 instance would be honored by AWS because this particular EC2 instance has assumed a role. I have explained it with example in the IAM videos. So I request you, Harish, that please look at it. The video is quite descriptive. Please look at it. I've explained it with example and in detail. So Sethu is saying, I followed your instructions and created 2 AZ, 4 subnets with 1 IGW and NAT, but when I created the Elastic IP, the count of IPs did not change and it remained as 11. The rest of everything worked like a charm. Okay, so understand that when you create Elastic IP, what you are doing is you are basically creating a new, getting a new Elastic IP from AWS, which gets mapped to one of the private IPs. Now understand that number 11, which you are seeing, that is your private IP count. Okay, so because of the creation of a new Elastic IP, that is not going to change. Rather, your Elastic IP will get mapped against a private IP only. right? So in nutshell, when you're creating an elastic IP, you are not private IP at that time, and hence the number is not changing. I hope that makes sense. Harish, you'll have to write what is the confusion, or as I said, just look at the video and you'll be clear. If you don't, there's any doubt even after that, please write it in the comment and I'll try to reply to that. All right, one another question with respect to NAT. Access internet through NAT, what kind of restriction that private EC2 instance provide with respect to internet? Okay, it's because the restriction is that it is only outbound. Okay, via NAT it is only outbound. Your instance would be able to access internet, but from internet your private instance would not be accessible. So as I said, please look at the video in order to understand this thing. Please look at the video where I talk about differences between NAT versus ELB. It's a wonderful video and it can clarify this doubt to you. Clarify this doubt in your mind. So please look at it. All right. So all of you who are there on the session, any other doubts you have? So in terms of the online training which I talked about, I will be keeping the time in such a manner that it suits to people from India and US both, and of course UK etc. as well. So it is going to be 4 hours. It will be either in the morning or in the night over the weekend, so that a lot of your time doesn't get wasted, and doesn't matter from which location you are, you can join. And those of you who are targeting sysops in some time, I think this is going to be useful to you. And so it is going to be intense sessions where we start with one thing and we cover continuously one after another, and we do labs as well. So I hope that helps you. How can we copy our AMI to S3? By default, Viranna Babu, by default, when you create an AMI, it is stored in S3 only, but you cannot see it from the S3 console because it is managed by Amazon. So it exposes the interface to you only via the AMI dashboard, which you get to see in the EC2 dashboard below. From there only you can manage it. If you go to your S3 console, you would not be able to see the AMI, but AMIs are always stored in S3 only. All right, we've got 6 more minutes. So any questions, I would try to answer that. The developer associate I would be doing, after this. So first I want to do the both of these, and after this we'll do developer associate as well. Rangesh Sethu is saying thank you. Thanks guys. Though doesn't matter how much I request you, I do not get even a single testimonial from you guys on the LinkedIn. I've requested a lot, so but I understand that it is actually very difficult to take out 5 minutes. That's okay. About the Route 53, I think there is one video. If you go to the channel and just search for Route 53, there is one video on Route 53 where I've talked about different things of that. So please take a look at it, and any more doubts which you have, you can let me know. I'll try to help there. Neeraj, it is roughly 65%, though they do not publish it. But based on the hearing from different candidates during my experience, it is 65 plus is the pass percentage, but at the same time, it is also very important that you have performed good in all the sections. So for example, if a particular student is bad in, example, in debugging or in network, like if you look at the exam blueprint, there are different sections. So in architect certification, I think you have 4 or 5 sections. You do not get to see those sections during the exam. You just see the questions continuously. But the point is, performed very good in one section and very bad in one section, then also you will not pass the exam, even if your total aggregate is above 65. So it's very important to constantly, or to know everything properly. That's very important. Rangesh is saying, for the developer associate, should we be knowing? No, you need not know any programming language. No, they just test you on the concepts and not on the programming language. And though I know I've been running really. Recently I have uh, aligned the sysops playlist in a very proper manner, in the right order, and I will be creating uh, the architect and developer playlist in the coming weeks. There are few sections which we have not covered. I'll try to cover those as the time passes, but I have I'll see how much I'm able to do. uh, is there any way to download AMI to our local machine? Not the the AMI which is normally created. No, that you cannot download. If there is any AMI which you had created from your data center and uploaded to the AWS, that you can download. So only those anything which is just created there, that you would not be able to download. All right. So guys, I think it is nearing to be 10:30, and okay. Harish just asked which certification is good. I'm having 1 year experience in system administration. I would suggest to go for sysops because you are already there on this on that particular path. So sysops would suit you the best. And then based on your interest level, further you can either expand or you can just go to the pro level. So, but sysops would be right for you. Okay, Neeraj, how can we switch career to AWS if we are experienced in some other skill? I think the answer to that would be learn AWS properly, do hands-on. When you say some other skill, if it is one of the uh, if it is one of the uh, computer or IT related skill, somewhere it might get used. Okay, the key would be to know your older stuff properly if it is related to cloud, and then further to learn AWS and then attend interviews. That would be the only way, I think so. Okay, just give me a minute. I think that is related to CloudFront, Rangesh, where we go ahead and uh, restrict the thing in such a way that a person would only know basically the URL for the CloudFront. I mean, he would only be able to access the things from CloudFront URL and not from the S3 URL. So in one of the videos where I have set up CloudFront URL, I've also explained that how during that process we set up the permissions in such a manner that if somebody tries to access the object directly using S3 URL, he would not be able to access it. Possible to install AWS Toolkit in my local Eclipse machine? Yes, it should be possible, Rakesh. Can we use any VM image as AMI to create an instance? Yes, there is a mechanism with which you can go ahead and import the image. And basically, if you have a VMware type of image, there are few image formats which are supported. You can go ahead and import those images to AWS, and then you can use that, gets converted to AMI, and you can use that AMI to create instance. There's a image import export tool for that. You can Google that. The answer is yes, Rakesh. You can go ahead and install. All right. So with that, I will actually close the session. It is 10:32. If you are interested to join any of the trainings, please reach out to me. You have looked at the quality already, and as always, I request you that please share the things if you have some time in your busy schedule. Please try to write about the channel. Job market is good, Harish, these days, because a lot of people are required on the cloud side, and the older guys, which are like very old, they are finding it difficult to catch up on the whole cloud thing. It is difficult for them to understand it. Rather, the new guys, actually, they are doing good, and they pick up things faster. So if you learn properly, even with 1 year experience, or you should be able to switch jobs and get a better one. Thank you, Rangesh. Thanks for your kind words. So with that, we'll close the session. If you have any doubts, you may ask me, write to me, and I'll try to answer it as soon as possible. Bye bye. Please share and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.